Well, good morning, guys. Thanks for joining me for devotions. We are continuing in Matthew chapter 13. Here we've got Jesus continuing with the parables, these short parables that he's giving. And this one that he's about to do is similar to the wheat and the tares. And Jesus just kind of does these rapid fire, back to back. Not a lot of explanation. In fact, sometimes no explanation at all on these parables. So this is an interesting one. Let's jump right into it. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a large net thrown into the sea. It collects every kind of fish. I love that. The kingdom of heaven, so God's kingdom. Again, we're talking about what is God's kingdom? That's where God rules and reigns. So God's kingdom, this is the kingdom of heaven, is just like this huge net. And it gets tossed out and it gets every kind of fish. And the net has been cast in it, and every kind of fish is being caught today. Some of us are very different than others that are being caught and brought into the kingdom. And so this is a good thing. The Jews would have understood that this is talking about the diversity. So Jesus is kind of subtly telling them that the kingdom of heaven is not just for you Jews. This is for every nation. This is for everybody. We're going to catch all kinds of fish. Then he goes on. And when it was full, they dragged it ashore. Now remember, this isn't just talking about fishing like we think of fishing, where you bait a hook and you toss it in and you reel in one fish at a time. This is a huge drag net that they would put between two boats, and they would drag it through the water all the way up to the shore and pull all the fish in. So anything that was in that path of that net was going to get pushed to shore, and that's where they would separate the fish. So it was at the end of the line. It was all the way down, and then they would sort it. So they've got all these fish in there. It says, and when it was full, they dragged it ashore, sat down, and gathered the good fish into containers, but threw out the worthless ones. Again, this is just like what Jesus was talking about with the wheat and the tares. There's going to be good ones and there's going to be bad ones, and we're not going to separate them while we're doing the work. We're going to separate them at the end of the work, the good from the bad, and that's not our job. My job is to fish, not to separate the fish. Let's go on. So it will be at the end of the age, the angels will go out and separate the evil people from the righteous and throw them into the blazing furnace, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So the fishermen were supposed to cast the net wide, and they were supposed to pull in everything that they could get. And then it was the job of the angels to separate the fish. Today, and the application for us today is that we're supposed to cast the net wide. We're not supposed to just go after certain types of people. There's a lot of churches that focus on certain demographics. I don't think there's anything wrong with some of that, because a church has to look like the community that it's in. You don't want to plant, for instance, the people in certain areas. Like, let's take here where we live. Let's take the suburbs. You don't want to take a bunch of suburbanites and have them have church in downtown, because the people who live out here look different than the people who live downtown. I'm not being racist. I'm not being prejudiced or anything like that. I'm saying a church should look like the community that it's in, and if it doesn't, there's a problem, because it's not reaching the community that it's in. And that's what it boils down to. A church has to reach the people of the community that church is in. So we've got to reach everybody, not just people who look like us, not just people who think like us, but everybody around us, everyone in our community. That means when you do this, it's messy. Bringing in people who are far from God, who don't have a relationship with God, it's messy. New Christians are messy. I have referred back to this, but when I was a youth pastor in Northern Kentucky, we had our youth department saw extreme growth, and pretty quickly we went from about 5 kids or 10 kids to over 100 every week. And so we had a lot of new kids and new teenagers, and they would come in, and I would pick many of them up after school. I picked them up from school. Some of them had to feed them so that they would have food, because otherwise they wouldn't eat, and then take them to church and then take them home. And it was messy, because those teenagers would talk about things that I wouldn't particularly care for, that a Christian shouldn't be talking about. I hear words that Christians shouldn't use, because they didn't know any better. And when you reach new people, it is messy. They're going to ask tough questions. They're going to say things that you're going to sit and think, people shouldn't talk like that in church. People shouldn't dress like that in church. People shouldn't act like that in church. Well, guess what? We're supposed to catch everybody. And it's going to be messy and it's going to be ugly at times. And somebody's going to sit in your seat and things are going to be messy. But it's not my job to sort the fish. It's my job to catch the fish. It's my job to cast the net as wide as I can. And by the way, this is your job too. So I should say it's our job. It's our job to cast the net as wide as we can. It's our job to catch as many fish as we can and then let God sort them out. Because at the end, that's his job. I'm not the judge. I'm not the jury. I'm not the executioner. I'm not the one that people will have to stand before one day and give an account for how they lived their life. I'm not going to be the one who opens the Lamb's Book of Life and determines whether your name is written in there or not. That's not my job. That's God's job. He is the one who sorts. He's the one who we answer to. So what's my job? My job is to cast the net as wide as I can and reach as many people as I can and catch as many fish as I can. It's not my job to figure out who's saved and who's not, who's cleaned up enough and who's not. I should be helping people get better and helping people disciple and all of that, yes. But it's not my job to determine who is a part of the kingdom and who is not. It's my job to reach as far and wide as I can, because I believe the days are short. I believe that the Lord is coming back soon, and it could be today. One of my very close mentor friends is in heaven now, and he just passed away not long ago. I think of him often and think of him fondly, and I actually get a little teary-eyed every time I think about him. This was one of the most godly men that I've ever known. There were days I remember waking up, living next to the church in Kentucky, and it had snowed, and to hear weird noises and look out, and this man was shoveling my sidewalk so that I could get out to the church. He was the first one there and the last one gone. He'd clean, he did everything. He picked kids up for church. He did everything. But when he would pray, at the end of every one of his prayers, he would always say, well, perhaps today could be the day. And it's true. Today could be the day that our Lord returns. And that'd be awesome. Because I'm tired of living in a world that is so full of sin everywhere. I'm tired of struggling with sin myself. I'm tired of struggling with my attitude. I'm tired of struggling with getting upset with things and getting aggravated. And I'm tired of it. I don't want to. I feel like Paul. The things I want to do, I can't do. The things that I should do, I don't do. And man, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of watching friends pass away because of the results of sin. That's what death is. Because of sin is where we get death. We weren't created to die. We were created to live forever. Sin is what brought death. I'm tired of watching my friends, people I love, pass on. And that's a result of sin. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of seeing sickness and disease and cancer and all of that. I'm sick of it. Those are all things that are a result of the fall of man. Sin. God did not create us to be sick. He created us to be perfect. And by sin comes all of these things. That's why I struggle when people say, well, the Lord made me sick. I don't believe that God makes anybody sick. I believe he can allow it because he has to allow everything. But God didn't make Job sick. He allowed Satan to touch him. But that sickness and it all comes from Satan. It all comes from sin. It's not from God. God did not. He's the Father. The good gifts, all good and perfect gifts come from him. Not sin, sickness, and death. That's not from him. I'm sick of seeing people sick. I'm sick of seeing Christians struggle. I'm sick of seeing them live defeated lives. I'm sick of living a defeated life and feeling depression slip in and all of that. I'm just tired of it. Man, when we get to heaven, We're not going to have to deal with any of that junk. I can't wait. I want it to come soon. I want God's kingdom to come today. I'd be awesome with that. That's what it's going to be. You know, when these men would go fishing, they would stay out for a pretty good long period of time. They would go out into the deep area. They would drop the net as far down and as wide as they could, and then they would bring the boats to shore. There was a set amount of space and there was a set amount of time that they could do it in, and then when they got there, the work was beginning. There is a set time that the Lord is going to return. None of us know when it is. We don't have any idea. It could be today, it could be in 100 years. I don't know. I feel like it's coming soon, but that's just my own personal opinion, and that and $6 will buy you a coffee at Starbucks or $10 or whatever it costs 4 years. It doesn't mean much. It's my opinion. But I can't wait for it. Maybe today. There's an old hymn that says, "Maybe today my Lord will come for me." And it could be. How awesome would that be if tomorrow you woke up and instead of watching a devotion video from me, you were sitting at the feet of Jesus and letting him teach you? I'll take Jesus 10 times out of 10, 100 times out of 10. So, what's our job? What's our lesson? Our lesson is we have to cast the net wide and catch as many fish as we can. We've got to share our faith with as many people as we can, and then God will judge whether they truly accepted him or not. That's up to him. My job is to be faithful and to fish. I will make you fishers of men. I cast the net. I pull it to shore. What's in the net is up to Jesus. What stays in the net is up to Jesus. What gets tossed out of the net, it's up to Jesus. Let's not take Jesus' job. We've got enough responsibility of our own. Let's be responsible for what ours is. Thank you for today. Help us to not focus on what we cannot control and what is not our job, but to focus on what you have given us to do, and to be faithful to that and trust you with the results. I pray for my family. I pray for my friends that they would be a part of the fish that are sorted and kept. Help their relationship with you to be real. And help me to be faithful. Give me strength. Give me the ability to stand for you. Thank you. God bless you guys. Have a great day.